This is an unofficial video, but as you saw with the inverter video I did from RIDGID, I got kind of curious, wanted to see what else was on the market. At 150, this one's 175 watts out, but no fast charging. I wanted to see if these could run my wireless charger that is usually about 25 watts with the travel adapter. These ports can run my wireless charger without needing to waste a spot here. However, because they are sharing 18 watts, if you plug anything in, it will stop the wireless charger from working. 30 watts out, I was able to use this to actually run the integrated charger to charge the DEWALT battery while I was running my M18 M12 dual charger to charge the M12 batteries. What I will say is after a little while, I started getting the flashing lights on my wireless charger saying there was a power issue, and the red and green lights from the M18 M12 charger saying that there was also an issue. Is it reliable? I'd say in an emergency, if you're charging phones, if you're charging basic stuff, sure. But all at once, any battery is going to have its limitations. And at this form factor, the fans weren't kicking on. It was definitely, very mildly warm to the touch. It's not a bad thing. Maybe I happen to get a bad one. It does come with a 30 watt brick and a cable, which at $100 price range, that should be higher. The DEWALT comes with a 65 watt charger, which I'm also kind of annoyed about for $100. This thing is able to output the 100 watts on the USB-C. They should have came with a 100 watt brick, but it is what it is. The cable is definitely able to do 100 watts, but it's going to have its limitations if you use the box. So get yourself a 100 brick, or I guess wait for the DEWALT to drop one. So yeah, comes with a belt clip. Not sure where you're clipping this, but it's not an inverter. The other ones are inverters, right? To be clear, this is just a power bank basically. So it's got one USB-C, one USB-A. This thing does 12 watts, just like the RIDGID, right? 12 watts. And anything you plug into here is going to take power, but if you plug it to a power source, even one of the other inverters or another power source, it will charge the battery that's connected to it. So it's an integrated charger, and it even tells you with the lights, the progress of how the charger is going. I think that's cool. The RYOBI can do that. The MILWAUKEE and the RIDGID do not charge the batteries that are attached. It's just these two. At $100, I would have wanted to see something that definitely could be used, with a 120 volt, but it is what it is. I mean, 100 watts is definitely faster than the 30 watts here, the 45 watts here, and the watts there, but it still has its limitations. It's pretty small for its factor, but you're still going to have to be at the mercy of whatever battery, especially if you're walking around with flex volts. Also, you're at the mercy of two plugs. I would have wanted to see at least another USB-C or another USB-A, but for the form factor, it is what it is. I'm not really concerned with charging the battery that's attached to it. I'm usually going to have some kind of charger in the area, so for me, the RIDGID and the MILWAUKEE, they're not losing too much ground there. Just in case there's anybody that doesn't believe me, this is on. Again, the light is not working. You can see a small flash. Let me turn off the flash on my phone so you can see. So the light is like dead, like it wants to come on, but it's dimmed out. That thing is dead, right? And no, the battery is completely fine, so it's not like it has no excuse. There is no on or off button for the DEWALT. It's just anything you plug in immediately has power. The RYOBI has enough to plug my wireless charger without having to waste a spot, which I liked. And I was charging several things with it, and it was perfect up until the light just stopped working and then started giving me electrical issues. The RIDGID, as you've seen in the video, I was able to charge 4 things at once, which is mainly what you're going to be doing with any of these things, is charging. The MILWAUKEE does have the rafter hook, which I really like, and I had kind of wished that the RIDGID would have had a little somewhere to hook this, or a magnet or something. And I hate to be one of those people that says like, well, get whichever platform you have. There's a genuine difference here. All right, had a little issue with the first RYOBI, but we ordered a new one. Okay, so we don't want to do RYOBI a disservice by just having a defective one to take a impression off of. So I bought another one. So let's see if this one is behaving as such and the light works. All right, no gimmicks, fully charged 4 amp hour battery. All right, so far so good. All right, I'm gonna let this run for a little while and grab my charger, because that is the main thing that I want to see if I can replicate that working. I'm gonna let this go for a while just to make sure it's not a one-off issue with the other, or if it's just a weak LED across all of them. I highly doubt that though. Pretty sure. And this one's way brighter. Like when the original one stopped working, it was barely bright and then just stopped working. This one is pretty good. Now, I purposefully made it dark. This is the RIDGID for reference. This is a very bright light. Let's say you had to go take a piss, take a crap in the middle of a power outage, maybe come wash your hands or whatever. If you're, in here, the last thing you want is a very dim light. So for reference, again, this is off. This is plenty of light to handle your business and move about your day. However, if I take the RYOBI, I'm just gonna set this right here. If I take the RYOBI, very disappointing. I mean, it looks bright on camera for sure, but in person, I mean, I'm gonna go get a tripod so I can use my left hand for one light and the right hand for the other. But this is clearly no contest. If you're looking for which one has a brighter light, then the RIDGID for sure. But don't take my word for it. Let me show you. Alrighty. In my left hand, we got the RIDGID. In the right hand, the RYOBI. So, RYOBI here, right? Feel for the RYOBI. Off. RIDGID. RYOBI. And I'm not making this up. My finger's not on the light or anything like that. Look where my thumb is, right? RIDGID. Even with them side by side, if I take away the RYOBI, there's almost no difference to the light at all. So RIDGID, they're using those clear white LEDs that they love so much, 100%. If I turn those off, yeah, definitely not RYOBI. I don't know if this one's defective as well, or if it's just not a very impressive light, but if I'm going down the stairs to reset a breaker or something, definitely bring in this one. And this isn't a dying battery either. Before y'all go, he probably put a 1.5 with 1.2 set. Nope, it's a fully charged 4 amp. Relax. Just disappointing, right? 120 volts for the RIDGID. And if we look at frequency, crank that to HZ. Hertz is the measure of electrical frequency. 120 volts at 60 hertz. The MILWAUKEE is on, right? We have our 60 hertz running from the MILWAUKEE. And from the RYOBI, yeah, 117 we'll call it. So the others are able to do 120 consistently. This one's at 117. I mean, it's not the battery. Battery's at 3 notches, but so is the RIDGID. It's hard to do this while looking through the camera. But yes, we have our 60 with the RYOBI as well. So something that I've harped on for a while is whether or not the RYOBI is able to power with the USB-A, power my wireless charger. And it's able to do it. It just blinked yellow, so I'm not sure how consistent that is. Oh, yep. That's an issue. But if you unplug it and plug it back in, you see? it stops, and then you're no issue with charging. Fast wireless charging. Yes? Okay. Now, I'm gonna grab this phone, put it here, and then I'll go grab my camera, and I'll let you know if it's able to do 2 phones, wireless charging, fast charging at the same time. While also seeing if it's able to run a standard charger to give another battery some juice. And I'm also gonna grab a USB-C cable and use the power delivery in the back to charge my dust blower. Okay, so we got the new replacement inverter with the USB-C, and I cannot get this for the life of me to run through USB-C, which sucks. If you look right there where it says output, USB-A, USB-C. USB-C says PD, 30 watts, 5 volt 3 amp, 9 volt 3 amp, 12 volt 2.5 amp. Now if we look at my charger, 12 volt 2.1 amps. This thing is outputting 30 watts, 12 volts at 2.5 amps. There's no reason why it should not be able to charge this. Also, when you're using the RYOBI, if it happens to start running out of power, right? It's almost dead. It'll start flashing yellow. I think that's pretty cool, but it's still charging. So it's letting you know, like, hey, I'm dying soon. Just letting you know. Well, on the other hand, if the RIDGID is dying for whatever reason, it won't warn you. It'll just go from charging, off. So I like the warning. That'll give me time to go run and grab another battery. The MILWAUKEE comes in clutch. It's able to power with the USB-A, power my massager. It's able to use the 120, charge a RIDGID battery, 2 fast charging phones, right there, just so we're clear. Fast charging. I like that the USBs can be on, but it doesn't have to leave the inverter on for the 120 volts, so it's not wasting extra power. We got a 5 amp hour fully charged here. Come on, show. Yep. But no flashing lights on my wireless charger, which means I should be able to charge a phone, and my RIDGID can't do it. But the MILWAUKEE, you see the that flashing is not the inverter. I just need to line up my watch. Yeah. So turn off the light. All right. You can see charging. So if you need to get a bunch of things done, the USB-A is charging both of my wireless devices. Got the USB-C charging my wireless mouse, and the inverter 120 is charging M12 batteries. Not sure why you would want to charge an M18 battery with an M18, but if you only have M18s and you need an M12, you could use your M12 charger or your M18 dual and charge your M12s as well. It doesn't have a light like the others. It does, however, have a rafter hook. And again, I've got plenty of lights. So for me, not having an integrated light like the RIDGID is kind of a bummer. I wish they kind of did add it, but not a huge emergency that they don't. This is impressive. This is cool. This pisses me off, actually, because I wanted the RIDGID with a lifetime service agreement to be able to, you know, power my charger with upside down with the USB. Come on, RIDGID. MILWAUKEE can do it. All right, that's the next thing I'm asking RIDGID to do. The next one needs to be able to charge this. Come on. At this point, it still has its 3 bars, but charging the M12 and M18 battery on this standard 80-watt charger with the 120, running my wireless charger, which is cool, and I also am charging my mouse. See, red, green, yellow, and the lights are off, right? So, if I take a phone, red light comes on, so it's charging. No issue, right? Connected, no gimmicks, to the RYOBI. So I'm cool that it can do it, but these are running in parallel, which means whatever you have in the 2 ports will share that 15 watts. If I try to take this little USB to Bluetooth dongle and plug it in to charge it as well, the second that I push it in, the power is disturbed. There's not enough power to play for both. So I definitely wish that the brands would make a little more power for the USBs. Obviously, something like a charger is supposed to be used with your 120 volt plug, but something where I could keep the 120 volt plug for a light, you know, a lamp or some kind of fixture to keep the room lit in a power outage while, you know, using the rest of the ports for the actual charging. Now the RIDGID is doing its thing. Got my, you know, muscle massager, charging my mic charger, excuse the proximity, charging my 2 mic transmitters and receivers, right? The USB's charging both of these things at the same time, and that is without plugging anything in. I could take this and plug in, I don't know, something else. But my only issue is, like the RYOBI, if I turn this off, right, everything loses power. If I turn it back on, I want consistent power. But turn it back on, these things 100%, they'll go back to charging, right? No issue. Got to get in here because, let me turn off the light. Yeah, so that's charging. That's charging. But we got inconsistent power. These inverters are very touchy. The MILWAUKEE has no issue. Turn it back on. Again, still charging, issue. Off, back on. Still an issue. Back on. Still an issue. Back on. Still an issue. But wait, back on. Randomly just perfectly fine. Again, charging, and once more charging. This makes no sense. The thing is, it's reading that it's not receiving enough power, so it is what it is. Now, doing this only rarely when it's a power outage with these inverters is totally fine. At the same time, super bright light, very happy to see that, you know. So definitely hanging on to the RIDGID. I got 2 more coming on the way. I'm not waiting that long to make this video, so yeah, what you see is pretty much what you see. But using the 45 watt, I was able to get fast charging or super fast charging with the Note 20 that I'm holding. I used the RYOBI 30 watt USB-C to USB-C and was only able to get fast charge, not super fast charge. So do keep that in mind, that if you're going for the RYOBI, it may not do super fast charging with specific phones. With the RIDGID, no issue. With the MILWAUKEE, also no issue. That's done charging. I like that it has enough energy to where it's just showing the green light to say it's done, versus like turning off or starting to flash whenever something changes with power. So yeah, when it is flashing red, it means it's going through overload protection. This thing has not been overloaded. Again, there's nothing jammed in there. Everything is basically new. I have not used this at all, so don't know what happened, but I tried putting it in. I was like, maybe there's a small capacitor or something inside, so I would plug something in and kind of keep hitting the power button, see if I can absolutely get it to 0 dead drained. I I'm gonna give it like 24 hours. If it's not like some kind of overload protection that's just trying to, like, you know, give the tool an internal break, this thing's going back. So, which sucks because they don't offer these in stores, so I'd have to buy it again and then have that sent out. Come on, Rigid. This stuff can't be slipping through quality control. Like, Rigid, this is something I would expect from RYOBI, definitely, but not you. Now, for the sake of the video, I did order 2 more of the Rigids just to make sure there wasn't some issue in quality control across the board, or if it was that these are genuinely bad products. As far as what they can do, I mean, they work. You've seen them work. But the limitations for my particular application is I need to be able to charge multiple of these pads because myself and neighbors, a lot of us have wireless chargers. So in the case of a storm, if I have to help other people out, it's easier to just set up a couple of wireless chargers and have everybody just kind of set their phones down. So that's my application. You always want to stay safe. Maybe throw one of these in the car when you go out. You get stuck somewhere, you have at least a way to charge your phone or do what you have to do. That being said, always be prepared, right? Never an issue. If I turn it off, turn it back on, never an issue. Once more, for the non-believers, no issue. Yeah, if I had to rank any of these, definitely Milwaukee is getting the #1. So I'd say out of all the inverters, my Milwaukee is definitely the top pick, and this is the reason why. Again, testing it with the 1st gen Duo versus the 2nd gen Duo. I haven't tested the Trio just because I don't have that Samsung charger, but when it comes to this, it's supposed to run no problem, right? The Milwaukee can do 15 watts, 9 volts at 1.67 amps. The Rigid, I'm not even going to waste your time, but take my word for it. If you take off the battery on the bottom part, you can see the specs. It shows that it's able to do 12 watts at 3 amps with the USB-C port. This does 45 watts, and it's pissing me off because if I take the Milwaukee, no question, no gimmick, no hiccups, no hesitation, this thing will immediately start to charge. Right? No gimmicks, plugged in, 1, 2, 3, no hesitation whatsoever. I'm giving the M18 the huge win. That's not to say this is bad, just to say that the quality control needs to really step up the game because not cool. This thing right here, especially with the 8 amp hour forges. Again, I've been using this, charging this, running my label maker as well, and thing is still juiced up and ready for anything. These forge batteries, they really are holding. So my final thoughts, as far as these, not only my final thoughts, but also in a perfect world where I could make my own price for these, what do I believe that each of these are worth? Let me start off by saying the Milwaukee is the one I would go for. If you didn't have any of these and you were looking for which one is able to charge and have the best performance, that would be the Milwaukee. If you're looking for these, which one would last the longest, with the LSA, if anything ever happened to this, you know, you're covered. However, not being able to charge my wireless charger with the USB-A's means it's at the mercy of hit or miss. I did order 4 of these. The first one that you saw earlier in the video that had the 1 on it, again, this one's #2. That one was stuck in overload mode. It kept thinking I was trying to put more than 175 watts. It would keep shutting itself down even when nothing was plugged in. Needless to say, that one was defective. So I sent it back and I ordered 2 more. Those are not here for whatever reason in the world. They kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. So I'm not making this video wait any longer. As far as performance, as far as the light, as far as doing what it's supposed to do, 45 watts out and all that, is it capable of doing it? Yes, but the only thing I hate about it with my wireless charger is I have to turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and then eventually it'll have enough of a message to the wireless pad to say, you're good, you have consistent energy. The disqualification for DEWALT was not because it was a bad device, but with only a USB-A and a USB-C, it's not going to do much in the ways of an emergency situation. It's something you take to the coffee shop, or you keep somewhere. But 100 watts out is really good if you have a big tablet or a big laptop that needs charging. But the 12 watts on the USB-A leaves it to not much. You know what I mean? So for that reason, it's just not something I would want to keep. If you like DEWALT and you have a bunch of DEWALT batteries, me personally, I'd recommend doing this. And that is, I bought a bunch of adapters. So DEWALT to MILWAUKEE, RYOBI to RIDGID, and DEWALT to RIDGID. So in case of an emergency, I'm still able to use the batteries through adapters. I was super apprehensive about this because everybody is showing them, but what it basically is right, just a little molding of what a DEWALT battery would be. So you click in your DEWALT battery there and you slide it into your RIDGID tool. Isn't that cool? Little metal contacts for the power, both sides. So super simple. You can pick these up for like 20, 25 bucks. These are all made by 1X, the company 1X, but there are more. They have RYOBI to MILWAUKEE. They have all kinds of adapters, so get whatever one applies to you. But I would rather do that than have to walk around with 2 or 3 of these just for emergencies. But definitely this right here, this one. Let's talk about what I would pay for these, and I'll wrap this up. The MILWAUKEE's nice, don't get me wrong. $100? No, absolutely not. If it came with a battery, like a 3.0 high output or even a 2, then yeah, I could kind of see getting into the 90 range. But fair price for this, I'd pay 80 bucks. Number one con is it only has one USB-A. The USB-C, I can see that for bigger phones or more modern Samsungs and bigger batteries where they need that super fast charging in case of an emergency. However, the USB-A, it's something you always need 2 of. So I'm glad that the other 2 were able to include 2 USB-A ports. But for that reason, and also not having a dedicated light, it'd be cool to see that true view or that true tone light that they use on their impact drivers and on their impact wrenches and their tower lights and other lights. Use that proprietary technology the same way RIDGID should get on the ball and use their clear white LEDs for all their newer stuff. With the RYOBI, I mean, I'm glad that they at least didn't put a crappy light on it. Like, this is a crappy light, I will say that. So instead of just half-assing it, either put the true tone light on this or just don't do this. RYOBI, you tried with it, but honestly, if you're gonna use lights like this, just leave them out. It's not even worth it. The in-charging design where you can plug this in and charge batteries with this charger, so it'll charge whatever's connected to it. The RYOBI can do it, the RIDGID and the MILWAUKEE cannot. The RYOBI and the DEWALT can. So what would I pay? I'd pay 80 bucks for this. That's a solid price for the MILWAUKEE. Definitely not 100, and definitely not tool only for 100. For the RYOBI, this thing regularly retails for 90 bucks. I think it was like 96 or 98. Then it came down to like 88 or 90. No, this I would pay, I'd say in the realm of 60 bucks for, maybe 65. And then RIDGID is somewhere in the middle as far as pricing. I'd probably go, I'd say at max maybe 70, 75 bucks. And really most of that is coming from the LSA. The issue is not the plug. Whatever you plug in here, it will power it, no issue. It's these right here. RIDGID, look at me. You need better plugs. Fast charging is cool. If these plugs, and this goes for everybody, if y'all could put like 25 watts into something like this, and even if it became only 1, but it was capable of doing like 25 or 25 watts or such, but these are so weak, and then when you plug something in, immediately it will lose power because they're splitting that 12 watts. Same thing here. You put something here and you put something here because it's 18, it's going to split that into 9 watt charging each. 9 watts is cool for wireless charging, but not when the base itself takes 25.2 watts to charge. It's going to disrupt that circuit and you're not going to have sufficient power. Hence the flashing yellow light saying not enough power. I thought it was a defect. It is not. It is just the inability for these things to produce that much power. For the 30 watt fast charge, here we have 45 and here we have 45, right? The USB-C. 45 watts for these two. This one definitely needs more, but these need more. Specifically, not even the wattage, just the amperage. So that things like this, these should be, I don't know, 3 amps, 4 amps, something that's able to easily charge something like this. At 45 watts, which, if I just take this off, you're able to see the specs. You're able to see USB-C, power delivery, 45 watts, 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 3 amps, 12 volts at 3 amps, 15 volts at 3 amps. 15 times 3, that gives you your wattage, which is 45. Right? So there's no issue with these being able to power it, but for whatever reason, just the inconsistency of an inverter leaves these Samsungs guessing. So I don't like that, because these do take fast charging, and in an emergency, you don't want to be trickle charging. You want to hurry up, get some power, and then figure out what you're going to do. So that is my take on this. Hope you appreciated it. And whichever one you pick up, again, they are all going to do the job of charging your things here and there. Just have a million, billion, jillion USB cables. You're going to be fine. But for my particular case, I like wireless charging and knowing it can do several bigger things while having consistent power. That's my take. You have yourself an excellent day and work smart.